That's it. It's
Okay, thanks, Liz. First, I'll take a motion to close the closed executive session and to reopen the public meeting. Is there a motion? Trustee Kay, second. Trustee O'Donnell, all in favor? Okay. Meeting will come to order. We will start with the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag and a prayer by Trustee Flynn.
It's the flag.
Where's the flag?
We don't have a flag.
Okay.
It's on the other side of the wall. Pledge of Allegiance
Right over here.
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This time of year, the high school seniors are preparing their college apps, and it's a stressful time. And for the rest of the kids, the school year really kicks in, and it becomes stressful for a lot of the students and the kids in our community. So for tonight's prayer, I want to pray for our students that they experience peace and calm throughout the year. And I'd also like to pray for the Dobbs Ferry Eagles in their game this Saturday against Woodland in the Section 1 championships. And may all the bounces go our way. Go Eagles, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Bill. Amen to that. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the magical world of Village Hall. This is and brand new Village Hall here too. New carpeting, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. But welcome. This is a regular meeting of the Board of Trustees for Tuesday, October 27. Just a couple of things need to do here before we get started. We're going to modify the agenda. We have to. We're going to be adding 2 items, which we do need to take a vote on to amend the agenda. So we're going to be adding 2 items here, and I'll ask for a motion to add as action item number 11 to schedule a public hearing for the pilot residential on-street parking permit program. And we'll explain more about that when we get there. But can I have a motion to add that to the agenda? Trustee Cassell, second. Trustee Flynn, discussion, all in favor? Okay, so that'll be added as action item number 11, and adding action item number 12 will be to consider a request from the town of Greenburgh to approve the Greenburgh Town Board to be lead agency under SECRA for the Jefferson at Sawmill project, and we will explain more about that item number when we get there. So is there a motion to add that as item number 12? Trustee Rosillo, second. Trustee Golio, all in favor? Okay, so those motions pass, and we've agendally amended to add action items number 11 and 12. Before we get started with courtesy of the floor, just wanted to make a quick update on some parking issues, which we've been talking about quite a bit and getting a lot of input on. And just to announce first that day passes will be available for purchase starting tomorrow morning for the waterfront park. The village has worked hard to secure the parking annex, which is just north of Half Moon Restaurant. You probably all know where that is. But the owners of Half Moon have allowed the village to use that area, which has about 44 parking spaces in it, for day pass purposes and for any residents that have commuter permits. We would ask that if you're going to use that lot, and actually it's a lot closer to the train station building than if you're getting to the lot kind of late in the morning and having to park way to the north. It's actually probably going to be a beneficial spot to park. We have agreed with Half Moon that we will just put the message out that we would want people to be out of that parking lot by 7 p.m. because that is their lot, but they do want to work with the village to allow us basically to get some more capacity for parking during the day. So that's going to create a good capacity. Betsy, I know you've got people down there every day, parking enforcement people down there every day who will be speaking with commuters on the platforms and just making sure that everybody is aware that this is available for permit holders, again, day passes and monthly commuters or annual commuters. And we think this is really, really going to help. And we're still looking at longer-term solutions. We've got a lot of meetings. We're looking at areas north of the park that we might be able to create new parking spaces. That's obviously going to not happen overnight, but I think some of the strategies and the help that we're getting from Half Moon are really going to help the situation down there at the waterfront park. So we did want to announce that. We'll put out a notice on that very early in the morning, so people that are interested in day passes can get those. And we'll see how that works, but we think we've picked up some good capacity here. Did I miss anything on that? That's really it for the waterfront? Okay. All right. So now we'll move to persons to be heard. Anyone care to address the board? Vicki?
Hi, Vicki Jones, 55 Grandview Avenue, Duxbury, New York. I'd like to thank the mayor and the board for giving parking spaces for the weekend for people from out of town so that they'd be able to park. This past weekend, I wanted to share a couple of stories with you. Oh, also, the room looks beautiful. I don't know if Betsy picked out the colors, but it's a big improvement over the green that was here before, but it's very lovely. But I want to thank you for addressing our concerns. And what I wanted to do is to share a story with you. Last Sunday, I went kayaking. A week before that, I had actually twisted my ankle in Manhattan, and I thought that I was well enough to kayak, and I was fine. We started off and the day was lovely, and we crossed the Palisade. We went across from Dobbs Ferry. There were 6 of us. We went across to the Palisades, went to the gardens, the Italian gardens on the other side, just below the falls. And then we proceeded to go down a beautiful paddle down the Palisades that we see every morning. We do this every year, and we've been doing it for 10 years. Then we started to turn around and go up. At that point, I said to my husband, who was with 3 other people, you guys are more experienced, go ahead, take a nice run, I'll head back, I'll just meander. As we started to meander back, the wind picked up. The wind picked up really, really, is 20 miles an hour at least. So I told the other 2 women who were kayaking with me, let's cross now before the waves kick up even harder, because if we don't cross now, I'm afraid what will happen later. So we paddled and paddled and paddled, and it took forever for us to reach the shore, just south of Greystone. Now, because I travel on the river all the time, I know where there's a little pocket of beach, where forget about it, it's all rocks, where can you go in a case of an emergency, I know these things. So we stopped for a while just south of the Greystone train station and rested for a few moments, had an apple and caught our breath, got back in the boats and tried to paddle against these whitecaps. It was impossible. With my injured foot, I wasn't able to push down and get the stability I needed to really put my muscle into it. So I had to get out at the Hastings Yonkers border. Luckily for me, there was a gentleman there at the Yonkers Paddle Club named Marty, and Marty allowed me to come inside, use his telephone, and I was able to call the one number that I knew, because now that we all have cell phone numbers, who knows what phone number? But I know 693-5500 by heart.
You called once with a flat tire on your Deegan.
I did, I called because of flat tire. I called the police for everything for advice. So anyhow, when I called the police, I told them that 2 of the kayakers were safe on shore, but there was another woman who was paddling on. And she was over 60, I'll be nice and say over 60. And she's a very experienced kayaker. But I am always afraid when somebody is by themselves facing whitecaps and 20 miles an hour. And the Westchester County Department Marine Unit was sent out. And there were 2 lovely gentlemen, Detective C.J. Westbrook and Officer Isaiah Moreri. And they came and they picked up my friend and put her and her boat on the boat, and then actually stopped and spoke to my husband and the other 2 kayakers to make sure that they were fine, would they be able to make it back in time. And so then they came down to check on Dee and myself. So when they pulled up next to me, I saw the lights, so I went back out to flag them down so they knew that we were safe. And they offered to give me a ride back to Dobbs Ferry and my boats, because if they didn't give us a ride, poor Jim would have to carry my boat up those stairs and across the tracks and up more stairs. So I was very happy that they gave me and my boats a ride back to Dobbs Ferry. And I was very happy to see the pier was there. There was a place for the boat to pull over and let us out. So I just wanted to tell you a very good story that had a good ending. As you all know, I've been kayaking for probably 20 years, and this is the first time I've ever needed assistance. Well, other than the time Eric fell in, but we won't go there. But, you know, one thing that I had spoken to the board once before, and I still hope you'll consider this and maybe move towards doing this in the spring, that it would be very helpful to, like, trailheads all have a little place where you sign in. The name, your name, what time you checked out, what your route was, and what time you expected to be back. Many people tell their paddling partners, their husband, their wife, where they're going, but if ever there's a problem, and in this situation, then at least the police know where to go.
Right.
And at the last meeting, there was a gentleman here named Lee Reiser. Lee is with the American Canoe Association. That's a national organization. And I know he left his contact information here, and it would be extremely valuable if the village followed up with him to talk about the opportunity of planning some, kayaking safety courses, how to use a marine radio in the case of emergency, and just a few safety courses that could benefit some of our residents, Hastings and maybe Ardsley. It would be really good. And I also wanted to just follow up on something that partly you had said about me not following up with LL Bean. Now, many of the trustees don't know that I had met somebody from LL Bean who was interested in renting or doing some kind of situation at Waterfront Park. The role I played was introducing him simply to Hartley. I'm not a developer, I'm not a promoter, I don't work for the village, I don't get paid to bring in prospects. What happens after that introduction is not up to me. But I would really hope that you would take advantage of making Lee's offer to help. It would be very positive for Dobbs Ferry, and I really want to thank you for allowing me to have such a great final run of the year. Even if it was kind of wild and crazy, but it's a good story. Thank you.
Thanks.
Vicki, thank you very much. That was a lovely story. That was a really great story, and thanks for your positive comments. And yeah, I think we will follow up with the gentleman that was here, because that will be a great addition to the park, and having a program like that and somebody with that much experience will be great. And I think we've got the cards to Matt, and Matt can work on that and the Recreation Committee. But thanks very much for your comments.
You're welcome.
Really appreciate it. Anybody else care to address the board? Yes, Frank.
Good evening, Mayor, Board. Frank Farrington, 89 Ashford Avenue, Dobbs Ferry, New York. I'm here on behalf of the Dobbs Ferry Historical Society, but I'm not going to follow up with Vicki in terms of length and involvement in the story, but I just want to comment on your, encourage you and congratulate you what you've been doing, trying to be sensitive to the parking and juggling a lot of different things. I'm a walker that walks the waterfront park, and I applaud you trying to keep the kayakers happy down there by Willow Point, but also having recreation spaces available for people that can enjoy Willow Point. I was on the waterfront committee, but one of the major upgrades is the improvement of Willow Point Park itself. So rather than have, between my wife and I, we have 3 arthritic knees, and rather than always having to park on the northern end of the park and walk to Willow Point, we can enjoy it. So I applaud you and good luck, and keep working on that. I know it's a difficult task. But, on why I'm really here is on the 14th of November, Dobbs Ferry will have the Dobbs Ferry Historical Society, November 14th, 3 to 7 in the afternoon. That's a Saturday at Mead House. We'll have a presentation entitled Grapes and Olives, I think that's the title, but basically it's a salute to the Italian heritage of our village with some music, some old pictures, some wine, homemade wine probably, soda, water, whatever. They're going to take part in a light meal. It probably would be a good segue, 3 to 7, looking at the hours, somebody can have a nice antipasto and just sample down to one of our local restaurants. I'm an unpaid smoker for the Chamber of Commerce, but again, it's a nice event. This is the 3rd in our series since I've been involved. We did the Irish in March a few years ago. We did an Oktoberfest for the Germans. Last spring we did a waterfront, history of Dobbs Ferry waterfront because of the up and coming reopening of the waterfront park. And now with the 75th anniversary that just passed of the spaghetti dinner at the Lady Pompey Church and the the decision by the Archdiocese to continue that parish, we thought it's an appropriate time. It's probably always an appropriate time to salute our Italian heritage, but we thought November 14th would be a great time. So those are the specifics. If you have any questions, go to our website, which would be dobbsferryhistory.org. Click on the grapes. There's a lot of headlines there. It brings up the full bulletin, full information. It's $20 per person, suggested donation. There also should be an ad on the back of the Ferryman, which should be out before our event coming forward. Later on, it may be here, it may not, but I appreciate your consideration in moving our membership banner, one of our membership banners to Blue Park for a temporary, our annual membership drop. You may have a little soundbite regarding or a poster regarding our upcoming event also. So we appreciate any consideration on that. That's really why I'm here. Any questions on that, fine, but hope to see you if you have a chance. I know it's a busy Saturday afternoon, but again, we bounced about the appropriate time, Sunday football in the fall and all that, but we figured an empty pasta at Mead House followed by dinner in the Village might not be a bad choice. So I thank you for your time and enjoy the evening.
Thanks very much, Frank. Great stuff. Anybody else care to address the board? Yes, Mark.
Good evening, Maura Gerasi, 138 Palisade Street. The last time that I was here, it was the day of the Palisade Street motion parking. So I wanted to come tonight and just make the board aware that since that meeting, there has been slight improvements with the parking and even, I will say, the motion of the flow of the traffic. I had a meeting this morning with Mr. Hall, the president of Mercy College, for other reasons, but I made sure to mention this to him, and he assured me that they are definitely taking this very serious and that they want to be a good neighbor and make sure that they, working with the board, because he mentioned that he has been speaking with you in reference to this. But we, of course, still continue to have the problem with the commuters. I know that we are trying to establish this resident parking, and the sooner the better. It was funny, that was the point of conversation that my 10-year-old brought up to dinner this evening before this meeting, where she said, "Mommy, you should stand outside with me and see all the people that get off the car and walk down to the train station," because the kids already know the issue that is going on. So it is an issue that the sooner that we can address it and that we can put it into place will be great.
Thanks, Mark. Thanks for your comments. Just to address that, that's why we added that item to the agenda tonight, is so we can set that public hearing, and we'll do that we're considering doing that for the first meeting in November, which will allow us to get, seriously into that strategy and start setting some, basically a new law that will basically prevent people from being able to do that. We're limiting it. We can't prevent them, and we can explain more about that, but that's really going to help. And we appreciate your comments, and thanks for you being so respectful, as you always are. And I think maybe a good segue for that is, because of the issues that I think have been addressed down there, and the involvement of the community and neighbors and Mercy College. Maybe, Tom, this is a good segue. Would anybody else care to address the board? Tom, could I ask you maybe to come to the mic, and if maybe just to give us a real quick sort of, I know Betsy has had a lot of meetings with you, and I've met with you, and Darius has met with you, and you've really taken, I think, some real steps. Some of the residents obviously are reaching out directly to Mr. Hall and yourself, and I know there's sort of a lot of, which is good. I mean, it's people working together. We really appreciate, you've been very, very responsive, your team and Dr. Hall, and I know that there are issues, and Mercy College is going to create a lot of these issues, but you're addressing them, and maybe just specifically some of the things that we're addressing at that 145 location, just to give everybody sort of a sense of what you're doing.
Sure, I'd be glad to. So we, as everyone knows, we have...
Just state your name and...
Tom Simmons. I'm the Executive Director of Facilities and Operations at Mercy College. And we have been, since the end of the summer, when we moved our off-site parking pieces, we had some at Danforth Lot, and we knew we were building this new residence hall. So we procured a lease at 145 Palisades for, it's about 140 parking spots. We worked with the landlord on where was the best spot to maybe fit those in, talked with folks on your team about how that might work. And we have about 130 people working at the college right now building our new residence hall. So we chose to try to find a way to have That worked successfully and with a number of people where they could park. On top of that, we tried to move some of our staff in different places. And the themes behind that we kind of shared with you were to try to create to have the ability for our faculty, which is a lot of adjunct faculty, and commuters to have the ability to, and visitors as well, for the Dobbs Ferry to have some parking on the campus. What we find is that at peak times, we were at capacity and there was nowhere for people to park. People were parking on neighboring roads. We had a lot of concerns from the landing that you heard when we were looking to get that approved, as well as side streets. So we tried to be proactive with that and work with your team on a way where we could put the construction workers, as well as some of the contractors that we had and some of our staff pieces to and establish a shuttle that could bring that back and forth. We think it's worked pretty well in terms of how we cleaned up that area there. I know we've been working with the landlord on how that could work. We recognize that there's been some issues with some of the resident population that's been there, and we've been working with your team on how we can change that. And we've also heard things about some of the past habits where some of your residents had parked in there, so we're trying to work with you and understand that. We see this as a good solution that was close to us. It kind of fits a little bit with some of what you as a board wanted us to do with a transportation demand management plan that tried to deal with, just like we have some parking issues, I know you have parking issues, and how we can reduce maybe the number of single occupancy drivers. So we've got a traffic demand consultant that's working with us on this. We do know we'll probably make some changes on the student population after working with Betsy and Darius and people on how that could work right. It does seem like it's working pretty well as far as with the workers, the volume of workers and how they come back and forth. But we know there's some challenges. We recognize that with how the shuttles are working, with speed, with lights, with all that. So if we can be better partners with us, let us know. So we're trying to make that work. We've also been talking with your leaders here in terms of how that can maybe benefit you folks also, in that we don't have a great need for that lot on the weekend sometimes, and the summer pieces and all that. So we saw that as when the Danforth piece wasn't there for us anymore. This was close, and it might be something that could benefit both of us. Us short term with the building, but together long term.
Great, thanks for that. Thanks for being so responsive and a great neighbor, and we'll work on these issues together going forward. Thank you very much. And I think, just to add, I think there's also a plan that's been presented to improve the screening with natural plantings along that property line there, which will be a great upgrade for that neighborhood too. Yeah,
and the landlord there, the property owner, was going to propose a different piece to move the fence back and something like that, so we could do that either way. We could just screen if people want that to happen immediately, or he had a bigger plan of moving the fence back and cleaning some pieces up on that also.
Okay, thanks, Tom. Anybody else care to address the board? Okay, thanks everybody for your comments. Okay, we're moving on. Public hearing. I'll take a motion to open the public hearing to consider a law amending section 230-10 Parks, Article 2, Activity and Use Restrictions, Dogs on dogs. Wait, are we doing this tonight? We're setting this public hearing.
No, this is
Open the public.
We're opening this public hearing, right? Okay. So, yes. Proposed local law would prohibit dogs from Gould Park, Memorial Park, and the White Church Cemetery Park. So I'll take a motion to open this public hearing. Trustee Flynn, second trustee Golio, discussion, all in favor? Okay, that opens 7 ayes. I think the issue here is that, Betsy, you want to, for the benefit of the board and the benefit of the public, what it is that we're considering here?
Certainly. This is another one of these things that's happened with the code. This is to bring it into compliance. Gould Park and Memorial Park have always been posted no dogs for many, many years. However, it doesn't appear that that's the way it reads in the code. Matt and I have talked about this often, and we feel, as the other department heads do, that the parks that have fields and swimming pools shouldn't have dogs in them. And we decided at some point that we should add the White Church Cemetery in there as well, just out of respect. So we're looking to not prohibit dogs from any other park, just those three.
And then it had always been, whether it wasn't properly or worded as such in the code, that
Correct. And then the White Church Cemetery was not included in that. We just feel out of respect that we shouldn't allow dogs in that.
Okay, I think that's pretty clear. And Matt, from a recreation standpoint, this makes sense for you and your department and the rec commission
Yes.
buys into that?
Yeah, waterfront and during the state can still go.
Okay. Any residents care to address the board? Any opinions on this at all? Okay. Then I'll take a motion to close the public hearing. Is there a motion? Trustee O'Donnell, second trustee Russillo, all in favor? And that closes with 7 ayes. Just discussing with the board here to see if we can take action. Any strong opinions not to follow through on this or not to make this recommendation? No. Okay, so let's consider this then. I'll take a motion to adopt a local law amending Chapter 230, Parks, Article 2, Activity and Use Restrictions, Section 230-10, Dogs. And I'll just be thorough about this. The current code reads as follows, subject to the provisions of Chapter 153, Section 153-4, dogs on a leash shall be allowed in Waterfront Park during the hours stated in Section 23-14, park hours 7 days a week. The Board of Trustees shall have the right to prohibit dogs in Waterfront Park during certain holidays or during other special events. The proposed local law would read as follows, Chapter 230 Parks, Section 230-10 dogs will now read Section A, subject to the provisions of Chapter 153, Section 153-4, dogs on a leash shall be allowed in Waterfront Park during the hours stated in Section 230-14, park hours 7 days a week. The Board of Trustees shall have the right to prohibit dogs in Waterfront Park during certain holidays or during other special events. And Section B, which is really the add-on, dogs on a leash are permitted in all village parks except Gould Park, Memorial Park, and the White Church Cemetery Park. And this would be, the effective date would be, take effect upon the adoption of this local law or proposed change in local law, which we're considering tonight. So that's how it would read. So I'll take a motion to propose a change to the local law and to replace it as I've read and outlined by Betsy. Trustee Flynn, second. Trustee Golio, discussion? All in favor? Okay, that passes with 7 ayes. Thanks, Betsy. Okay, moving on to matters requiring action. Action item number 1 is to consider a motion to appoint Mr. Richard Legath and Mr. Edmund Fannin to the position of Laborer 1 for the Village of Dobbs Ferry at an annual salary of $41,525 each, and that the appointment will be effective October 28, 2015. Before we take this action, I just wanted to ask, is Gary, yes, superintendent of our DPW, to just come before the board and say a few things about Richard and Edmund. And
first off, I'd like to thank the mayor and board for bringing these guys on board with me full-time. They're gonna go a long way in maintaining our ranks and providing a service to the village. The other thing is these two young men are a great asset to this department. They've been around for a little bit and they know every aspect of the job. They also, just another note, is the 2 volunteer firemen, very active. They've been on approximately 3 or 4 years, guys? And I think it's going to go a long way in maintaining our ranks and helping out with the day-to-day operation.
thanks, Gary.
Thanks
Anybody
again.
have any questions for Gary at all? Looks like a strong recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Okay. Any questions from the board at all? Any discussion? Okay.
No, all I'd like to say is I know, both the guys that are being recommended, and, Gary and I have talked about this in the past, and I think it will be a great addition also to our DPW. You got 2 young kids that came up through the Dobbs Ferry system, and obviously involved in other aspects of the village, fire department and so forth. So, hopefully we get all the ayes and great addition, so.
I just want to point out, it's not necessarily, these guys, it's great also that it's budgeted for. They're replacing people who have left, so it's not like we're necessarily adding to the ranks, so.
Good point, Donna.
Good point, Don.
I'm gonna follow up on Vic, Eddie, I don't call you Eddie, that's all right. And yeah, Richie, I mean, you guys take pride in what you do. I see you out there and just your involvement in the community, and we're glad that you hung with us and that we were able to bring you aboard. So welcome aboard, guys.
Okay, we gotta make it official first.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Okay, so I'll take a motion, as recommended by the superintendent of the DPW, and as we've heard some comments, to appoint Mr. Richard Lagath and Mr. Edmund Fanning to the positions of laborer one for the village of Dobbs Ferry. Is there a motion? Trustee Golio, second. Trustee O'Donnell, discussion, all in favor? And that passes with a strong 7 votes, majority. We usually ask, new hires to come to the mic and introduce themselves, and it doesn't look like you brought any of your family members. I know that they're probably all busy and probably watching the Mets game, which is where we should be right now. But Eddie, could I ask you just to come up here to the mic and just say hello to the board, and then come down and you gotta come to the microphone here.
Richard, why don't you come up to?
Yeah, you did. Safety in numbers, you can back each other up a little bit.
Rich, you have to sing a song though.
Initiation, they didn't tell you about this part, did they? Okay.
Eddie Fanning, I just want to thank you guys, Mayor and the board, for giving me this opportunity. It means a lot.
Richard Lagath, I'd also like to thank you guys. I've worked here quite some time now, so look forward to the future. Thank you.
Great, welcome aboard, guys.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Welcome.
Not broken in there.
Okay, can we stop now? This has been a good meeting. Let's leave now.
Okay, moving on to action item number 2 is to consider a resolution to grant a conditioned waiver and site plan review for the application of 81 Main Street. I think, we all are very familiar with this project. Darius, just ask you real quickly, just to kind of quick background here for the benefit of the board and the residents.
I would note the applicant is here with his architect, but I can give a quick update here. This is the bank building next to Doubleday's there. They're converting the bank into a residential home for the family of the applicant. They were before the planning board at the last meeting. They waived site plan on certain conditions. One of them being they obtain an easement on the back area to enter for cars for 2 parking spaces. If they don't get that easement, they're going to have to pay a $5,000 pileup, payment in lieu of parking expense. And also, they would waive also, there is going to be a bedroom on the first floor. Technically, under the code, a bedroom could not be on the first floor in the downtown business zone, but that'll be in the back. It's not going to be visible, so it is permissible. The office will be in the front, I believe. So it's a conditional waiver on certain things happening. There is, just so you know, a $10,000 recreation fee also. I think you're aware of that, which will need to be paid. So this is a pretty, there's no outside extension or any work being done outside. It's all inside, so it's recommended that you do waive this.
Okay.
Based on the resolution.
Any questions from the board?
Just that normally a site plan review would entail us doing more of a detailed look at the traffic effects and the things of that nature, but we don't have to do that here because it's just really turning it into a residence,
and usually,
right?
you usually have a blank slate. You're adding a building on, you're adding something, or you're putting a new building on. Here, you're not doing that. There's nothing being changed to the building itself. There's really nothing to plan. The traffic impact is minimal. You're talking about 1 family, potentially 2 cars, and hopefully the easement goes through and you get that. So it shouldn't be any impact on the village.
And the pilot for the parking, that's normally, was it supposed to be 5,000 for one apartment?
I
Is
believe
that-
you have
Yep.
1 space.
But they get 1 space.
Oh, they get 1 space, okay.
Yeah,
Fine.
so it'd be 1 space.
Specifically, the waiver is the requirement that ground floor spaces are
Right.
limited to commercial
Right.
use, right? So that's really the way.
I think it's a great use of this building.
Yeah.
so.
Well, the owner of the building is here. Maybe, would you like to get up and just
Yeah.
introduce yourself?
Good luck, guys.
Yeah.
Good evening, Board. My name is Dwayne Prieto. I am the Principal of War Capital Management and the new owner, I guess, of 81 Main Street. So just to give you a little background, my intention there is to have my corporate headquarters for my company and also have my family be raised there. I just found out that my wife is pregnant, so it's perfect timing for both. I've been looking for a space for about 3 years now and finally found a place that I feel comfortable with running both my business and having my family close by. So.
It's a great space.
Great. Welcome to Dobbs Ferry, and thank you for your investment. It's a wonderful building, and I know a lot of people have really been waiting for someone who had the right idea and vision to come in, and I think
it's tricky, but I think we can make it happen.
Yeah. So.
When do we get a tour when it's done?
Hopefully in 60 days.
Okay.
Got a lot of work.
All right.
I was going to say, may the force be with you.
Yeah.
My wife and I, a couple of years ago, looked at that property and just let our imagination go.
Yeah, I looked at it too.
Our imagination isn't as good as yours, obviously, so congratulations and thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Yeah, good luck. Okay, thanks for that. We have the background here. We are and have seen the resolution from the planning board, which is clear, and essentially the resolution of the Board of Trustees really just mirrors the planning board's resolution. So then I'll take a motion here to consider a resolution. This would be of the Board of Trustees of Village of Dobbs Ferry granting a condition waiver of the site plan review at 81 Main Street. We've been through the particulars as explained by the village attorney, and specifically the waiver, which in this case is a requirement, waiving the requirement that ground floor spaces be limited to commercial uses. The planning board, of course, has recommended to this board that we approve this conditioned waiver. And Darius, you did mention as well the recreation fee, which will be contributed at $10,000, and then the pilot and sort of the idea of the easement to be really incentivized for them to work on that. So that's really it. Is there a motion? Trustee Kay, second. Trustee O'Donnell. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion? And that motion passes with 7 ayes.
Good luck.
Good luck. Thanks very much. We'll see you around. Look forward to the tour. Okay, man. Good. Action item number 3 is to consider motion to authorize the mayor to sign an IMA with the Dobbs Ferry School District on work to upgrade the Gould Park lower playing field. This is something that we sort of kicked around a little bit last year, but just we really couldn't get traction, and the school didn't at that time give us clear direction that it was something that they wanted to get behind, but they now have done that. They would very much like to see this project move ahead and do this in partnership with the village. Essentially what this would involve is to basically fill in the infield portion of the Gould Park baseball field, which has been skinned to accommodate a number of different levels of play. But there is a way to put some more grass in there and still be able to do that. So that's the idea. And I think tonight Matt, I don't know if you have anything that you could update us on. I know that your Matt Arone is working on getting some fresh bids. Maybe you could come before the board, Matt, and just any questions that the board may have. And because I think what we're considering doing is really just giving authorization for the village attorney to work on the IMA with the school and just do that, and then we can fill in the blanks once we know what the blanks are. But have you got anything back yet? Are we still waiting for bids?
Actually, I met with another company today down at the park and did a walkthrough, so that'll be the 3rd bid. I sent the mayor and the board a lengthy email last week, which I'm sorry was so long, but I wanted everybody to get back on page because, like you said, Mr. Mayor, this is something we visited last year, and we kind of, because the school wasn't ready to move on it, we were revisiting it, so I wanted to catch everybody up. But yeah, I have two companies already met with. I met with the 3rd today, who's going to submit a bid. I think I gave you guys most of the information, but if you have any questions about that, this would be a project that would probably, it's going to take a little bit of time once we put the sod down, so it's going to affect somebody. And I think that was really my main point. The community and you guys have to know that no matter when we do this, it's going to affect somebody. We're trying to time this so it affects the least amount of kids, sports programs, activities as possible, so we can continue on. So, but yeah, we're going to get another quote soon because I met with that company today, and hopefully be ready to move on it. Probably we want to do this, as you guys know from my recommendation, in May. Because if we do it now, it's going to sit in the winter, which isn't recommended by anybody I've spoken to. It's not worth putting sod down in the winter. And if it doesn't catch right, and then it won't be ready for the spring, then we lose a whole Little League and high school baseball season. So even though it's a little bit off, doing it at the end of May, when baseball season ends, we'll lose a little time in the summer, but from what I've learned from everybody, the sod will catch quicker in the spring and summer, and it'll heal quicker, and we'll be ready to get on it as soon as possible.
Okay.
So if you guys have any questions about the project from that crazy email I sent you, let me know now, and I can try to help you out.
No, that was a good email. I mean, it was very informative.
It took me about an hour and a half to write.
I can tell, it's the longest one I've ever seen. But I think, yeah, that's why you're not getting any questions right now. I think it was
Okay, good.
pretty
I
clear,
appreciate
yeah.
it. All right.
So I think what the consideration tonight will be to give the village attorney the authorization to work on the IMA, so that can get done. There won't be any delay in that. And then once you've got your bids and reported back and we make a decision there, then the costs can be filled in there, and then we can work that out.
Certainly. Thank you.
That's great, Matt. Thanks very much.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Matt.
Thanks, Matt.
Okay, then I'll take a motion to authorize the mayor to sign the IMA with the Dobbs Ferry School District on work to upgrade the Gould Park lower playing field, and just to add that, we will be filling in some additional information in the IMA once the head of Recreation Department receives that information, and we as a board vote on that to move forward. Is there a motion? Trustee Flynn, second. Trustee Rosillo, discussion?
Mayor, can I just comment?
Yes.
I want to point out, right, this is, again, a partnership with the school. We did it previously with the scoreboard. It just kind of shows you what good communication does. It allows folks to work together. It's similar to Mercy working with the village, right? You get feedback and you communicate to each other and work together. So great job communicating with the school and getting them on board and really making it a joint effort that benefits the whole community.
Great, thanks, Bill. Action item number 4, yes. That was a discussion. All in favor of the motion? That passes with 7 ayes. Darius, I guess, or Betsy, if you could reach out to Sylvia at the school district and just get that IMA, get working on that, would be great. Thank you. Action item number 4 is to consider motion to authorize a refund in the amount of $4,095.30 to Core Logic Tax Collection Services LLC for overpayment of taxes on the property located at 4 Florence Avenue. Okay, well, we have a memo from the interim village administrator, actually to the village, from Jeff Tuda, village treasurer, sort of explaining what happened here, and I think basically, the bottom line is they paid twice, right? Yep. That was nice of them, but they're asking for the other half back now. That's all that is. So no loss really for the village, right? No. We're just refunding an overpayment, basically. So that's it. Is there a motion to authorize the refund? Trustee O'Donnell, second. Trustee Kay, all in favor? And that passes with 7 ayes. Action item number 5, consider motion to approve a serial bond resolution authorizing the issuance of up to $750,000 aggregate principal amount serial bonds in the village of Dobbs Ferry pursuant to the local finance law to finance the purchase of village vehicles and to pay for costs related to purchasing equipment, including lighting and video cameras, and to finance a drainage project. This is, well, we've been at this one for a long time. We were going to consider this at our last meeting. There was extensive discussions about this resolution and this action in the 2 prior meetings as well, including a detailed report that was provided by the village treasurer, the village interim manager, and discussion amongst the board as to what sort of was involved here. We couldn't take action at the last meeting because we did not have a supermajority, which we have to in order to consider passage of these types of finance bills. So essentially, this is, we can get a little bit more detail in this, but I don't want to sort of backtrack because I think we've done that, and we understand that village treasurer is highly recommending this. The decision will likely be made to ban this over the short term because the interest rates are extremely low. And it is equipment, it's part of long-term capital planning that needs to be replaced, that's costing us a lot more to maintain, and so it's all part of good long-term budget planning. And it is broken up into several pieces where we identify that there is equipment such as a new garbage truck, there is village vehicles that need to be replaced, There's a major drainage project on King Street that is involved in this, which was bigger than initially anticipated. And then there is public safety equipment as well for police
Just cameras.
and cameras, right. Is there anything else I need to add or is missing, or any of the trustees that we need to fill in any information here? Because I know we've talked about this in great length, so, and detail.
Mayor, I was just wondering whether there were any hybrid or electric vehicles on those contracts that we might, you don't have to answer it now, and it's not going to affect the way that I vote, but I just want to make sure that that stays out in front of everyone.
Yep. You know, I don't know if there's any reason why we couldn't do it. If we allocate the money and we can find a way and then make a hybrid vehicle available, then I would say, you know, Betsy, if we can do that, and it's on the contract, let's see if we can make that happen. I don't know, Gary, if they're even available, but we did talk about this, and Jeff brought up a good point, and I really do support it as well. We talked about it at the Solarize presentation too, that if we can, come on up, Gary, if we can, as, you know, as a village, make a preference for hybrid vehicles where it makes sense. In some cases, it may not make sense, but if it does.
Yeah, as far as hybrids, we did look into when I got my Escape. At the time when we were leasing, there's significantly more money, you know, I think it was almost $200 a month more for the Escape to be a hybrid model. It might have come down since then, because that was 2012.
Yep.
So they might have come down a little bit. And the other thing is, we had purchased that hybrid bucket truck, which is approximately 8 or 10 years old now. Maybe not even, I think it was in 2008. They don't make it anymore. It really, it's not really working very well. I mean, right now it's being fixed because we had some issues, but as far as, but we have, just so you know, we have looked into some of this stuff.
Great.
You know, I mean, some of it may be good as far as cars go someday down the road, but right now, as far as trucks go and any of the heavy equipment, it hasn't really been perfected enough yet.
Yeah, I'm thinking cars.
You think
I'm not
more
thinking
cars.
Yeah,
No,
I'm
I
thinking
know, I'm
heavy
just trying to
equipment.
cover everything, all of it, since we are, you know, going through some big stuff.
Yep.
But, you know, it is something that we can look at down the road, but I just don't think it's there yet.
Thank
know,
you
some
for
of
looking.
the small vehicles maybe, but I'm just going more on the heavy. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Gary.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff. Okay, so I think I need to do this in two parts. I think I do. Yeah. So I will start with the first one. I'm not going to read all the language because these are really lengthy, but this is all sort of standard language that would be in these types of finance resolutions. But I'll read some of the particulars, certainly in the amounts. The first is a consideration for a bond resolution which will be dated, when will it be dated?
Do it today,
October
27th.
27th,
Right.
2015, which will be authorizing the issuance of up to 278,000 aggregate principal amount serial bonds of the Village of Dobbs Ferry, County of Westchester, State of New York, pursuant to the local finance laws to finance the cost of, one, the acquisition of motor vehicles, and two, the acquisition of various equipment. In this case, this particular piece is broken out into the acquisition of motor vehicles to the amount of $150,000 and the acquisition of various equipment of $128,000. And that is brings the total of $278,000 for this portion. And then from that point on, it just sort of goes into standard language that is incorporated into any finance resolution that we would consider, following the laws of the state of New York and proper municipal funding obligations and procedures, et cetera, et cetera. So it's all just pretty dry, and we've kind of been through these things before, and the village attorney and treasurer and interim manager are very much up on top of these things. So that's really it. So I'll take a motion for this bond resolution. Is there a motion? Trustee Golio, second trustee Rosillo, discussion? All in favor? And that passes with 7 ayes. And then the second piece is, again, all very similar except broken up just a little bit, would be consideration of a bond resolution which also will be dated October 27, 2015, which would be authorizing the issues of up to 472,000 aggregate principal amount serial bonds. So that 472 added to the 278 is the 750,000 in total. The Village of Dobbs Ferry, County of Westchester, State of New York, pursuant to the local finance laws, et cetera. And in this case, this resolution It's in the public interest of the village to authorize the financing of the cost of the acquisition of machinery and apparatus for construction and maintenance of $340,000, and construction and reconstruction of village streets, including improvements to drainage, which is the King Street project of $132,000, and including any incidental costs related to thereof, and total estimated cost not to exceed $472,000. So again, it's all in accordance with our local finance laws, the laws of the state of New York, and the principles and practices that you have to follow on these matters. So, is there a motion? Trustee Golio, second trustee Flynn. Discussion? All in favor? Okay, and that passes with 7 ayes. Great, thanks Gary, and thanks Betsy, thanks Darius. Action item number 6 is to consider a motion to approve capital purchase to replace village vehicles and equipment off of Westchester County contract ARFB WC 15143 and off the Onondaga County contract bid reference number 7823 and NJPA contract number whatever. Betsy, what is this?
This is the piggybacking law that we did a couple of weeks ago.
Okay.
So these are contracts from other municipalities, state and county contracts. So we can now, instead of just buying off New York State contract, Westchester County contract, we can buy off other contracts as well.
What this does avoids us having to bid and go out and spend more money. And this is the purpose of passing that law, to save time, money, and energy to piggyback on other contracts with other
Somebody else has already done the work for us.
Yes.
Okay, and it gives us a lot more flexibility
Yes,
to
absolutely.
find things and better pricing in some cases.
Exactly.
Okay, makes a lot of sense, good. I remember we did discuss this before. Any other questions at all from the board? Okay, then I'll take is there a motion to approve this? Trustee Kay, second trustee Rosello, discussion? All in favor? And that passes with 7 ayes. Action item number 7 is to consider a motion to approve change order number 1 in the amount of $4,023 for the 2015 road milling and paving contract number 2015-12 as reviewed by Han Engineering. And we did get a memorandum in our packets from Han Engineering on this item. Is this, my understanding of this work will be offset by some other fundings that we have?
There's chips money left. It's just a matter of moving something. Actually, Gary can explain.
So we have the money in the form of CHITS, which is unused, it's on an unused funding line.
Catch basin.
Oh, okay.
Right, there was, we put in a decent number of catch basins and manholes to be raised throughout the project, which kind of brought our allowance up a little bit. What happened is, due to the fact the road was in such bad condition, I think we budgeted like $213,000, most of that funded by CHIPS. So we had put in for more work than was necessary as far as raising manholes and catch basins. So to offset the cost of the extra tonnage, we went over on the blacktop, because that road was, when it was milled, actually went down to the sub-base. So there was a lot of areas that had to be wedged in order to get the crown in, which means we had to thicken the amount of blacktop, increase the amount of blacktop that was put over the road. So the idea was mill 1.5 inches, put 1.5 inches back. But in some areas, it was up to 3 inches, so the tonnage went from, I mean, I'm quoting not exact numbers, say 1,100 and change to over 1,300 tons. That couldn't be helped. I mean, I was on the job there as well as Han. So the only last item left is the line striping on there, which comes to $4,000. So we came to like 212 and change, just under the 213,000, which we had put out for it. So we may have an extra 4,000. I'm working on getting something done through Greenberg. I don't know if that's going to materialize. I'm trying to work something out with them, so maybe we could save on that. But if that doesn't happen, we're going to need an extra $4,000, which I will probably have to move from somewhere else in my budget. It won't cost us any extra. We won't have to take it. I'll have to shuffle it around.
Okay.
But that's what it comes down to. It was a little bit more than we anticipated on that road.
Okay.
But it did come out nice and did its job.
Thanks.
Thanks, Gary.
Thank you.
Okay, great. So I'll take a motion to approve this change order as outlined. Is there a motion? Trustee Kay, second trustee Rosillo. Discussion, all in favor? That passes with 7 ayes. Great. Okay, action item number 8 is to consider a motion to authorize payment for the recording of the various village meetings and events at a rate of $150 per meeting, up to 2.5 hours, and an additional $50 for meetings and events that exceed the 2.5 hours, effective from October 1st, 2015. So I guess we're making a new arrangement here to make sure that the meetings are filmed live and
The gentleman that was videotaping for us has resigned.
right.
He was being compensated much more than this. So we have come up with this figure, and we have some village employees that are interested in taking on the task. Jennifer is on her first meeting by herself tonight, back there.
Jennifer, what's the score?
It's 1-0 Kansas City.
Good girl.
Boo, boo.
But she knew how to talk back
Yes,
to
you
us.
did.
That
We
was
were testing this, I know, that was a test.
I know.
So-
Not the right answer, but.
So Liz picked up the meeting last night, and Jennifer's doing tonight.
That's great. I mean, what better than to have village staff that can do this and maybe even upgrade it a little bit, and we're saving money, and that's really fantastic. And Liz, I know you're really helping out on the training and.
I just want
thank you,
everybody
too.
to note that the last time that this was increased for somebody other than a contracted vendor was in 2012, so it's time.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Okay, great. So I'll take a motion to authorize the payment for the recordings as outlined. Is there a motion? Trustee Cassell, second. Trustee Flynn. Discussion? All in favor? That passes with 7 ayes.
Thank you all for doing it.
Yes, thank you, guys.
I'd just like to sneak in a thank you for Liz, who came in to do the Solarize launch video for us, so thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks, Liz.
And I
Thanks,
heard,
Jeff.
and I heard last night's meeting went to like 12 o'clock?
You win some, Liz, you lose some.
I'm sure that $50 is enough for over 2.5 hours.
Action item number 9 is to approve a motion to approve a request from the Dobbs Ferry Historical Society to hang a banner on the Gould Park fence from October 27, 2015 to November 16, 2015. Code President Frank Farrington already approached the board on this. This is, of course, absolutely no problem at all. Is there a motion? Trustee Flynn, second. Trustee O'Donnell. Discussion? All in favor? And that passed with 7 ayes. Thanks, Frank. Look forward to that event, and, you know, it just seems like the activity at the Dobbs Ferry Historical Society has really been picking up this year, and your involvement definitely has made a difference. I think younger people are going there now, which is also great to see. Jeff O'Donnell, of course, you've been very involved in that organization for a long time, and all the work that you've done. It's really important work, and the place looks great. I know there's a lot of issues there still, but the building looks great, and I think this Chamber of Commerce that has sort of started to take root really sees themselves maybe being able to help out and use that building as a visitor center, maybe an idea, just, you know, to get more people there and get more donations, and that's all good, so.
We
Really.
appreciate the village's support on some issues too, it's great.
Yeah, so thank you, Frank. Okay, great, so the action on number 10 now is to discussion of a resolution in support of the Westchester County Board of Legislatures. This is in regards to a countywide effort regarding single-use plastic bags and expanded polystyrene containers. This, as I said, is a countywide initiative, really sort of taking root at the Board of Legislatures at this time. And Jeff, I'd like if you maybe could just give us a little bit of, I know you gave us a lot of information during the week, which I've read, I know the other trustees read, but just real quick, sort of an outline for the benefit of the folks watching.
Absolutely. Very simply, it's found to be very difficult for individual municipalities to ban the standard shopping plastic bag. So that the Board of Legislatures are trying to get individual municipalities to just support a county law to do it, much easier to do it with a broader political base, shall I say. It does not affect newspaper bags that your Times or your Journal News comes in, so you'll still have those to pick up the dog poop if that's what you use them for. It does not affect the covers in dry cleaning. It just affects the one-use bags that you get if you forget to bring your reusable bags to Stop and Shop, to, to any store that uses plastic bags to put your purchases in. Why is it important? Simply because those bags don't ever biodegrade. And what happens is they break up and then they end up in the food stream and for animals, and it creates a real problem. The question that is often asked is, well, now that we recycle those bags at, in the case of Dobbs Ferry, Stop and Shop, doesn't that solve the problem? Well, the issue is that the recycling of those bags takes about $4,000 to recycle a load of those plastic bags. And the plastic that is generated from that recycling is worth $35. So, I mean, it's just completely ridiculous, and that's not the answer. So the answer is to get people to use reusable bags. Real easy. There are lots of organizations that put their logo on it, and becomes a sales thing. So, they sell them and then you keep using them over and over and over again. It's a great idea. So I hope that the Village of Dobbs Ferry could support the county taking over this process. I know that Irvington has shown their support, and as we know, our village to the south has done it on their own. And if you have any other questions, I'd be glad to answer them. This is I think a very worthwhile. It does not affect any costs for our retailers. It has been shown in other areas, so.
Will the stores then provide paper bags?
Mm-hmm.
Good old
They have
paper.
that as an option. There's requirements on the paper bags, basically that they be reusable or recyclable, but that's the way almost all paper bags are now.
Right.
So.
Jeff, this was really good information. It was interesting, right? Those bags have a 12-minute life, and people use them for them and discard them. So I'm a strong believer that, people are going to resist, but when you take it away, they'll find a way to adjust. And really, those shopping bags that, the reusable ones, if I knew a bag wasn't there, I would be more conscious about taking them with me. I don't always do that, so I think this is a good initiative where it kind of forces, and I think people will react positively to it.
And it's been done in many other states, it's done in Europe, it's,
Been done all over the place.
Yeah.
It really makes sense. The other thing I haven't talked about are the expanded polystyrene containers. There's the old, clamshell containers that McDonald's and Burger King used for all those years. And the problem with them is they don't break down, but they break up into little pieces of plastic. They float, so they end up in the water stream going from, down the sawmill and into the Hudson, and from the Hudson into the Atlantic, and it creates, they now finding commercial fisheries, when they take the fish and they open up the gut, they find little bits of plastic there. So we really need to stop that too. And most of the big fast food places have already gotten away from them. So that's the other piece to this.
Great. Good work, Jeff, doing this and really presenting a lot of information, and it makes a lot of sense. And what we're essentially considering here tonight, this resolution really is telling the Westchester County at a much bigger level that, we're supportive. There'll obviously be more information coming down. We'll have time to communicate to our residents, and much more effective, I think. I know there have been some towns that tried this on their own. I think it's a little more difficult. This is a much better way of doing it. So I'm supportive of it as well.
Great.
Okay, any other questions or discussion? Then I'll take a motion to support the countywide effort to ban single-use plastic bags and expanded polystyrene containers. The resolution that we're considering here tonight sort of goes through a lot of what Trustee O'Donnell sort of outlined in terms of the environmental issues related to this material. In doing this, we're sort of, making some declarations here that as a village, as the village of Dobbs Ferry, that we're very proud of our history of environmental stewardship, and there's really basically there's no other village in the state that can make that claim. So this falls right in line with what this village has been doing for many, many years with people like Jeff and the help of the Energy Task Force and boards that are supportive, and we work together, and we find economic ways to make this stuff work even better. So that's totally consistent right there. It does talk about this being done at the Westchester County Board of Legislature level, and that they are considering an ordinance, so this has to sort of go through their process, which will be good. That, as Jeff said, will bring in a lot of people. You'll get a lot of opinions about this.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of input, so that's good. We wouldn't be doing this in a bubble on our own. It will be most effective to have countywide policy regulating plastic bag. Again, just the bigger area and less little nuances makes a lot more sense. So kind of outlines it that way. It would be, in passing this, we would be urging the Westchester County to adopt a law which would ban the use of single-use plastic bags. And as we pointed out, we would be requesting, and we would forward a certified copy of this resolution to the clerk of the Westchester County Board of Legislatures. And that's really it. If we consider adopting this would be effective as of tonight, and we would get moving on getting that document together and right to the county. So that's it in a nutshell. So is there a motion? Trustee O'Donnell, second. Trustee Golio, discussion? All in favor? Great, passes with 7 ayes. Thank you. Good job, Jeff. Thank you very much. Action item number 11 is, this we added at the beginning, is to schedule a public hearing for the residential on-street parking permit program. We've talked a lot about this. That home rule bill did pass in the New York State Legislature, and the governor did sign. So we're ready to move forward on this. Essentially, this is a parking permit program that will allow the village to take action, legislative action, to reduce the number of non-resident parking spaces on streets, and will, not in theory, it will help create additional parking spaces for our downtown residents. That's really where we're focusing on this. Obviously, there are specific streets that the program will cover. We're not going outside of those streets, and it's very exciting, and it's a very big historical step that the village is taking, and it will make a difference in parking. And Betsy, you did a lot of work on this, getting this done, and really want to congratulate you. We wouldn't be here without you working on this. And Don, I know the parking commission's been involved, and you're big on this too, and have had a lot of work to do, and I'm really excited about this. So we'll set this public hearing. We'll consider setting it for the first
November 10th?
November 10th. And this will allow residents to learn more about the program, and we'll be able to discuss, hear input. There'll be a lot of discussion about this because, people are still sort of learning about this program, and there will be some impacts. For Dobbs Ferry residents, it'll be mostly positive. It will be positive. For other people that come here and park, maybe not so much, a little more difficult, but, we've got residents come first, so. But I add, though, the program is designed that we can't just kick everybody out. We have to make a certain number of spaces available for visitors. And of course, we want to do that, so. Okay, I talked enough on that. Let's just schedule the hearing. Is there a motion to schedule the public hearing? Trustee O'Donnell, second. Trustee Kay, discussion. All in favor? That passed with 11. That was 7 ayes. And the final item is action item number 11, is to consider a request. We added this at the beginning as well. A request from the town of Greenberg to approve the town board to be lead agency under SECRA for the Jefferson at Sawmill project. Darius, could you explain this?
Sure. This is a proposed development off of Lawrence Avenue on the east side of Lawrence Avenue in the town of Greenberg. Is 99% of the development. About 1% of the development is actually in the village of Dobbs Ferry along the South County Trail. As you head north on the Sawmill, a little area there is actually in Dobbs Ferry. They're proposing parking at that area for the village of Dobbs, for the South County Trail that's in the village. It's actually owned by the county, however. So technically, we are an involved agency under SECRA, and if the town of Greenberg is going to do the environmental review under SECRA, there needs to be a lead agency like we did in Rivertown Square, like we did in Mercy College. So the town board is saying it wants to be lead agent. They have a meeting tomorrow to declare lead agency, but they can't do that unless we say we don't want to be lead agency. Now, if time could run out, it's 30 days to respond, they would have to have a special meeting. So they asked us today, they called today to ask that this be put in our agenda. I did speak to their planner, so it's for your consideration. I don't think you want to be lead agency on this. I think the town board can do it. There's a whole EIS process going to happen, public hearings, a lot's going to happen, so
Not for 1%.
probably best that
Sounds
you
exciting.
pass that motion and let them do it. But we will have ability to comment, we will have ability to have, and be involved in the project. So this doesn't forego that. So we will be involved and we'll stay on top of it. Dwight and I have been talking about it already with their planner. So we will have some comments to you when the appropriate time comes. But it's early in the stage now.
So when they do the secret, when we get the report, we can have someone look at it, Dwight, and then we can submit our comments.
Exactly.
Any other questions for Darius? Okay, thanks for that. Then I'll take a motion to approve the request from the town of Greenberg to approve that the town board of Greenberg be lead agency under SECRA for the Jefferson at Sawmill project. Is there a motion? Trustee Kay, second. Trustee Rosillo, discussion? All in favor? That passes with 7 ayes. Okay, fantastic. Correspondence and claims. Nothing to report there. Let's get to the minutes. We have 2 meetings because we didn't have enough of the folks that were at the September 29th meeting, present at our last meeting, so we had to carry that over. Any issues with the minutes for September 29, 2015?
No.
Okay, then I'll take a motion to accept the minutes of to accept and adopt the minutes for the Board of Trustees meeting for September 29, 2015 as presented. Is there a motion? Trustee Kay, second. Trustee Golio, all in favor? And that's passes with, how many ayes?
5.
2, 3,
That was
4,
5.
5.
Should be
5 ayes, and you were all of you were present, right?
Should be 5.
Yeah, 2 were missing.
And 2 were missing. Okay, so the 5 present have approved, great. And then there's the minutes for the regular meeting on October 13th. Has everybody looked that over?
No,
Yep.
I'm not in it.
Okay, I had one comment just on page 4, the last sentence. Mayor Kinnett said the board already, this was in regards to the boat dock policy. Mayor Kinnett said the board already did this and will revisit this next year when it is time to open the dock. I think what I was saying was when the dock is reopened in the spring. Don't want to make it sound like, it kind of sounds like the dock is closed now, which it isn't. So that's all, just to clarify that a little bit. Otherwise, everything okay on this one? Then I'll take a motion to accept and adopt the minutes for October 13, 2015. Is there a motion? Trustee Rosillo, second. Trustee O'Donnell, discussion, all in favor? And that passes with?
Should be just 4.
4.
4 ayes.
Just for- yeah.
Which is good. Okay, great. All right, any announcements or reports from trustees? Bill, start with you.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I have a couple here from the rec department. The Great Pumpkin Party is going to be held on Friday, October 30th for kids pre-K through 4th grade at 4 p.m. at the community center. And also on that day, there's going to be an outdoor Halloween movie night, which is Friday, October 30th at 7 p.m. at Gould Park. And the movie is Hotel Transylvania. There's no fee, it's free. The Halloween downtown trick or treat event is Saturday, October 31st from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. on Cedar and Main Street. So the street's closed off and everybody can come down and trick or treat. Also that same day, on Saturday, October 31st at 9:30 a.m. in the morning, there's a defensive driving course at the community center. The cost is $50 for adults and $35 for students and senior citizens. You do get, if you take the course and pass it, you do get a discount on your insurance. So That's it, Mayor. I also wanted to announce, I was pushing that exercise equipment down at the waterfront. It was under repair and it's open now, so if you want to go back down there and do your pull-ups and sit-ups and everything, it's
He's
open
looking
and
at
ready to
you.
go.
I know, I noticed that. Okay, I'll do my best to get down there, crack it dawn tomorrow morning. You know, adding to that, we had a woman who, a resident who came before the board a couple of weeks ago concerned about some of the equipment near the playground. And there were, you know, there were a few other moms that signed off on that, and I think we generally got a report that, you know, kids climbing over these things was a little dangerous. So I think just to report, we have, the village is following up on that. The alternatives that are being looked at are disassembling where they are now and you know, putting them somewhere else, which is probably gonna cost a fortune, but we'll still look at that. And then the Recreation Department is also looking at putting a new fencing, different fencing around that would keep the kids out. And that might be the most economical way to go. But we haven't made any decisions yet. But, so for the residents who came before the board and expressed concerns about this, we'll let them know that, you know, we are following up, no decisions, final decisions yet, but we understand the concern and we're looking to try to remediate it, you know, in the best way we can.
Great.
So, and anyway, thanks for your updates too, and great stuff. Donna?
Yeah, this Thursday, from 9:30 to 11:30, there is a Complete Streets training workshop in Hastings. It is free to village staff, officials, and committee members. And we do have a Complete Streets policy here in Dobbs Ferry, so this will go to help the municipal officials, et cetera, and how to implement Complete Streets, what to look for, et cetera. This workshop will also be looking at the length of Route 9A, which is Broadway, you know, from Irvington to Dobbs Ferry to Hastings, and you know, to discuss that. And in conjunction with that, yesterday morning, had a meeting with the consultants for Safe Routes to School. That is moving along. They will be doing a presentation for the Safe Routes PTSA group, for the Broadway Safety Committee, showing the plan, which is, again, 9A Broadway is where most of the work will be taken, most of the suggestions will be for, after which it will probably go do some tweaking and has to go to the state, then we'll come back for public hearings, et cetera. But this, again, is just a study. It's just recommendations. Even when this is finished, none of the stuff is set in stone. If we're gonna move forward with anything, that's a whole nother process. But that is moving along, finally. Okay, thank you.
Good. Thanks, Donna, thanks for the update. Good, you good? Jeff?
I've got a couple of things, the proverbial good news and bad news from the library. Let's start with the bad news. At the last meeting, I announced that on October 30th, from 4:30 to 5:30, there would be a workshop on do-it-yourself natural scented body oils. I hate to say it, but unfortunately, that's been postponed or canceled and will not be happening then, so.
We all signed up.
I apologize, because I may be a little stinky at the next meeting. But, the other thing is much more important. On Tuesday, November 3rd, there will be a screening at 6:30 at the library of Under Our Skin, the hidden story of Lyme disease. For those of you folks who've not had to deal with it, my daughter somehow has been lucky enough to get it 3 times. It's not a lot of fun, and we don't know what it's going to do down the road for her. But after that, there will be Q&A with Dr. Daniel Cameron, who is the president of the International Lyme and Associated Diseases Society. So again, that's Tuesday, November 3rd at 6:30 at the library. That's it.
Thank you, Jeff.
Okay.
Okay, just to wrap it up here, yes, because we won't be meeting again before then, right? First, I want to, just the way the boardroom looks and the courtroom across the hallway as well, I want to thank you, Betsy, for the great work you did, and the carpet looks great. I want to thank Gary. I know you worked on the sconces, and they look fantastic, and I just what a great upgrade. We've got more comfortable chairs here, and I think the plan is at our next meeting, there'll be more comfortable chairs out there too, which will be better for the residents who come and have to sit through these meetings, or like sitting through these meetings, but it'll be maybe a little bit more comfortable, but, thanks very much. It really looks beautiful and really sort of personifies, I think, what's, a lot of upgrading going on in Dobbs Ferry and new things and change, and it's good. It looks great. Thanks for that. Thanks, Gary. We definitely want to wish the Dobbs Ferry Eagles football team, I know, Bill, you mentioned at the outset, good luck at their sectional playoff game against Woodlands this weekend on Saturday, and it's great to see the Dobbs Ferry team moving, deep into the playoff again in football. It's a great tradition. And we want to remind everybody that Election Day is next Tuesday, right? Tuesday, November 4th, so we won't be... November 3rd, sorry. Please get out and vote, and the polling stations will be open here in Dobbs Ferry. There's a lot of people in Dobbs Ferry that work all day long to make sure that they're running and operating, so don't forget to vote on Tuesday, November 3rd. And we will see you back in November when we meet again. Thanks very much. Meeting adjourned.